Question 8. Some people says, hey, can you go over question 8? I'll go over question 8. I don't think it's so hard, but I don't know. I could be wrong. All right, question 8. Can someone tell me what question 8 is? 10 square of x sine square of x. It looks very off, right? I agree. So I don't know. I'm gonna treat it right side is more complicated because of subtracting sign. I don't know I'm right, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna convert everything to this. Is that okay? Now this is 1, right? Can I combine fraction? We talk about combine fractions, one of the rules. I'm gonna multiply by cosine square of x, cosine square of x. And that's equal to cosine square of x, sine square of x minus sine square of x times cosine square of x. Is that okay? What can I do on the top? What can I do on the top? Factor. So sine square of x, 1 minus cosine square of x over cosine square of x. Brown bear, what do you see? I see a Pythagorean looking at me. So that's equal to 10 square of x times sine square of x. That's why I say you gotta see that brown bear. Yeah, you just keep on going. Long as you don't break math, and we talk about break math. I think I would just explain to Shanti. She says this secant square of x, and that's okay because I think some people do this as well. She cannot cross this out. You cannot cross this out because the reason why you cannot cross out, think about something that's really easy. So if you don't know how to do it, that's fine. You think can 2 cross it out? Well, you say maybe, maybe not. Let's assume that you think it can cross out. This should hold true because 2 over 1 is 2, right? But if you cross it out, am I going to get 2? Then that means something is wrong. So what can be canceled out? So this is basically you can cancel out. If you have 2 over 2 plus 4, what can I do is factor out 2. But now this is a multiplication. So this, if I cancel out, that I can cancel out a 2. And that's 1. That's 1 over 3. It's same thing as this 2 over 6 is 1 over 3. So that way you know that you can cancel out if it's a factor. You cannot cancel just secant square or secant square of x. Yes, and that's not only happened to her. It happened to people in BC calculus. People still doing this. And it's normal. But you always think of something easy, see if that makes sense or not, because you can verify easily inside your head. Remember, I'm not always going to be there, but you can always do 2 over 2 minus 1. 2 over 2 minus 1 is 2. But if you cancel out, you're not going to get 2. Yes.
Can you go over number 2 of the second homework?
Can you tell me the question?
Greater than or equal to cosine of x.
Okay, that's an interesting one. I don't know. So this one I'm gonna use. What should I use? Demo double angle identity. Which one in specific? Which one? There was a cosine square minus sine square. There was 1 minus 2 sine square, and there was 2 cosine square minus 1. Which one I should use? Ah. Is that okay? So you have to know your identities. How many of you guys did this? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, very good. Half. Okay, Saphir, I can bring you one of them. Okay. Hello, I'll give Severe a hard time. He can take it though, you know. I enjoy people who can take it. Now some people will say something, they go home crying. He's not one of them, so I appreciate him. Maybe he still go home cry. We don't know. Did you go home and cry? He's laughing. Okay, so I moved to this, and that's becomes a factorable. Yeah, I did wrong. What are you talking about? Bro, what do you say?
He thought you couldn't bring the cosine x over to the make it negative.
They like change it greater than it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I don't know about that.
We're knocking off that trash.
Long Slater. I'm not. That's what I really do.
Which one to be negative? Top one's negative. Okay, so that's gonna be 2 cosine of x plus 1 times cosine of x minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. This is a polynomial inequality. You need a number line test. So you need to solve for this. Cosine of x equal to negative 1/2. Cosine of x equal to 1. X equal to what? Ask Emma. What do you think cosine of x equal to negative half? You are so smart. Okay, and then when is cosine equal to 1, Sophia? Huh? 0 to pi, okay. Both are acceptable. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a number line test between 0 to 2 pi. And we're gonna say 2 pi over 3, and we're gonna 4 pi over 3. And then we're gonna plug in 2 cosine of x plus 1 and the cosine of x minus 1. I'm gonna plug in pi over 2. So if I plug in pi over 2, this is gonna be positive and negative because cosine of pi over 2 is 0. That's easy. And I'm gonna plug in pi, so that's gonna give, if you plug in pi, it's gonna give you a negative because you're gonna get negative 2 plus 1, so it's negative. And cosine of pi is negative 1 minus 1, so it's negative. So it's positive, so it's negative. And 4 pi over 3, I'll plug in pi over 6, 11 pi over 6. So 11 pi over 6, 2 times cosine of 11 pi over 6 square root 3 over 2. Mine plus 1, so that is going to be positive. And square root 3 over 2 minus 1 is negative, so it's negative. How do I know it's negative? Because square root 4 over 2 is 1. So square root 3 is less than square root 4, so that's negative 1. So we want a positive region, so we need to have, and we can also equal to. So I'm going to say 2 pi over 3 and a 4 pi over 3. And I'm going to say it's bracket. Because you can equal to. Because at 2 pi over 3, if I plug in 2 pi over 3 here, if I plug in 2 pi over 3, I'm going to get cosine of 4 pi over 3. Is that equal to cosine of 2 pi over 3? Yeah, it is equal to, right? No. Yeah, it is equal to. So 2 pi over 3 is fine, and 4 pi over 3 is fine too. And if you want to check on the graphing calculator. If I check here, it's going to be cosine of 2x and minus cosine of x, right? And you check, yeah, that's only an answer there. That's above x-axis because greater than 0. This is how you check with the graphing calculator. And you need to learn how to check your answer through the graphing calculator. And this is trying trigonometry inequality equation because it has equation, has inequality. It's kind of talk about a lot of things at the same time. Yes.
I was confused about something you advised on the screen. Like this feels like the polar and the rectangular.
Okay, so you want to check if that answer you did it right?
Well, like you said, like you could make one negative and it's still the same answer.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Can you tell me the coordinates? Can you tell me the questions?
So to find the polar and it negative 2 square root of 3, comma 2 square root of no, negative 2 square root of 3.
Like this? I think they both are.
The first one is negative 2. Positive.
Oh, -2, and this one's +2 like this? Okay, so this is rectangular or polar?
That's rectangular.
Yeah, because it doesn't have direction angles, right? So what we can do is we can figure out like the r first. So it'll be -2 square root 3 square plus 2 square root 3 square is equal to r square. So that's gonna be 4 times 3, I think, plus 4 times 3. That's equal to r square. So r square is equal to 24. Is that okay? So r is equal to 2 square root 6, and you got 2 square root 6 plus minus, right? And we can be plus or minus, well, we gotta choose, right? So, but we gotta pick out tangent of theta is equal to y over this. So it's be tangent of theta is equal to -1. So tangent theta is -1 is what? Yep, 3 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. So now it's possible to put in the right combination. So for me, like in order to put a right combination, I can always graph the rectangular. So rectangular is going to be -2, +2, so something like this. -2 square root 3 and 2 square root 3. So we know it's on this quadrant. Is that okay? But this quadrant has to be 3 pi over 4 or 7 pi over 4. This quadrant is going to be 3 pi over 4 or 7 pi over 4. Good. So we're going to pick 3 pi over 4. And this one is 2 square root 6. Now what happens if you pick 7 pi over 4? Now you pick a 7 pi over 4, that means the angle is going to be right here, but you're going to go negative. So it'll be -2 square root 6. So either two are acceptable.
Wait, so can you explain the 3 pi before? Like, the way that works?
Okay, so I draw the rectangle, and I find out is the second quadrant. The second quadrant has to be 3 pi over 4 rather than 7 pi over 4. Because this one I can go with a positive r. Right? I can go positive r in the same direction. I can get same answer. Now I can go the other side, which is 7 pi over 4, and then do a negative r. It's because this side we can choose a negative r. It's going to give you the same coordinate as the other side. Hopefully I didn't talk too fast. Do you guys understand what I did? Emily, do you understand? Larissa, you need to watch a video. Any other questions? Yes? You're gonna have to speak up a little bit. Okay, let me go to Desmos. What do you want me to plug in? Oh, 2 square root 6. Oh, the problem is, I don't know how to do Desmos. Actually, I want to look it up too. Let me see if I can do it. How do I plug in polar coordinate on Desmos? I think that's a good question to ask. How to plug in polar coordinate in Desmos. Let me see. polar graph. Number polar point. Graphing polar coordinate. Okay, let's try it.
So, kind of like our coding between rectangular polar coordinate, you can type in instead of just r, your r value and then your angle, type out the letter for your angle and r sine, and then same angle. So I'm using r, and I'm also going to add a slider for a. So what this will allow.
So yeah, you can only do in term of polar coordinate like this. So for example, that which is I think they should fix this very easily, but I guess it's hard to program something like this and had to change everything in term of they should have a way to change it completely polar form. But if I want to convert that coordinate, right? So let's say let's just say if I have a polar form and let's just say our r, what do we get? So our r is 3 pi over 4 and then cosine of wait, hold on a second, not 3 pi over 4. It's gonna be 2 root, it doesn't do root, okay, that's bad. Square root of 6 cosine of 3 pi over 4. Whoops. Cosine of 3 pi over 4. Like this, comma. Wait, 2 square root of 6. And actually this is good because later we're gonna talk about this anyway. 2 root 6 sine of 3 pi over 4. So that is a point right there. And we can label that as a polar coordinate. But you have to plug in this format in order to get polar coordinates. Now, let's just say if I have rectangular polar coordinate, it's going to be, according to here, is -2. Oops. -2. -2 root 3. Right? Comma 2 root 3. It's the same coordinate. Do you see that they are same coordinate? The green dot and the red dot, the same exact points. Did that help you? It just Desmos doesn't do exactly you type in the coordinate because they think 3 pi over 4 is a value. So they think about 3 times 3.14 divided by 4. So they still think that's rectangular. The only way to do it is just write in the polar form. And if you polar form, that's going to be, and this one we're going to talk about complex number in a second later. So it's going to be like this. Did that answer your question? So this is how you write a polar coordinate in term of so that means you can double check your answer on Desmos if it's on a calculus section. If your AP exam is on calculus section. Questions? Yes, they do give you Desmos. Any other questions for homework? Proving identity, I can take one more. That was only one, question 8. They need to add more question. You don't have to feel bad. Wow, you're feeling bad?
I just got confused on
Tell me which one.
like the one you were doing earlier, number 7. It was like secant. It was like secant square root
Okay, so what's that supposed proving to? Hold on a second. Secant square of x over secant square of x minus 1. Which one's supposed to equal to? Which one's this supposed to equal to? Do you guys know? Shanti, do you know what's the other side of the equation? Cosecant square of x. Okay, so I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check the brown bear, but it's a different version. So I call this as a brown bear. Cosine square of x equal to 1. So this is, I think this is a, I don't know, you guys ever read a book, Brown Bear, what do you see? No? Basically it's like the first page was a brown bear, what do you see? And then they will say, I see a yellow duck looking at me, and it was a yellow duck. And the next page will be like, yellow duck, what do you see? I see a blue horse looking at me. And it's basically just keep on going, and until you go through all the animals. So kids supposed to understand, okay, this is a yellow duck, this is a brown bear, this is a blue horse. And then pretty much it, and that's the whole book. You had to read for your kids one day. So, huh? Yeah, I know. Yeah, the blue horse is kind of weird. That was kind of extreme. So for me, like this is one of the, I will call this a brown bear because this is probably the most popular one. Now, obviously, this one to deal with secant. So in order to deal with secant, I'm gonna take this divided by cosine. And cosine square of x divided by cosine square of x. And equal to 1 over cosine square of x. And hopefully I come up with something because the tangent square of x plus 1 is equal to secant square of x. And if I move the 1 over, that's tangent square of x equal to secant square of x minus 1. So can I write that as 10 square of x? Does that make sense? So I basically moved the 1 over, so it'll be secant square of x. So 10 square of x must equal to secant square of x. So that I'm going to write like this way. With that being said, I can say, okay, well, sine is also 1 over cosine square of x. And this one is sine square of x over cosine square of x. So that is equal to 1 over cosine square of x times cosine square of x over sine of x. So this cancels out as 1 sine square of x, which is equal to cosecant square of x. And you got this equal to this. Good. So we call this yellow duck. Yeah, the yellow duck is still okay. The blue horse is gonna be one with the cosecant square of x. That's usually less likely to show up. I think tangent square plus 1 equal to secant square plus 1 is 50% more times show up than cosecant, because the cosecant, that one's just kind of hard to remember. What'd you say?
Even if you don't know like what a yellow dog is,
You can. Yeah, that's why I try to teach you to do that. That's why I teach you that says if you don't remember, like I don't, I have very bad memory. Like my next year, I don't know what your name. Like literally, I don't want to remember your name. I'll be like, who are you again?
I don't remember
Sophia, I probably don't remember. He's already put much imprint inside my head. Too many dumb things he does. It's like. You guys good? Okay, polar equation. All right, polar equations. So we know how to convert polar coordinate to rectangular coordinate, but do we know how to convert equations? So this one gets more tricky. So you have to know your formats. So for example, you must know that x equal to r cosine theta. This is not memorization. This is something that you already know from SOHCAHTOA. Remember, cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, right? Hypotenuse is the r. If I multiply r over, that usually adjacent is the x. So this is something that we know already. It's not something I ask you to memorize. It's something that you know from SOHCAHTOA. So a lot of people says that's extra memorization. No, it's not extra memorization. Y is equal to r sine theta. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's just sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And this is equal to y over r. And if I move r over, so the r sine theta equal to y. So this is something that we know of, that very, very standard. We also know it's x squared plus y squared equal to r squared, because we need to use this to convert. And we need to use this to convert as well. Y over r. Y over x, sorry. Y over x, right? We need to use to convert from polar to coordinate to rectangular coordinate. So it's going to be the same exact thing. What? 10. All right, so imagine you have this graph. What does the graph look like? X plus y equal to 5. What does the graph look like? Guys, what's x plus y equal to 5 look like? A line, right? If I move the x over, it's going to be y equal to negative x plus 5. Right? Does that make sense? Y equal to negative x plus 5, which is basically a straight line with this slope like this, right? And you're like, hey, all right. So we can make sure convert everything to that. So x, can I convert to what? R cosine theta, right? What is the y? Can I factor r? Does that make sense? And r equal to 5 over cosine theta plus sine theta. And that's that. And you're like, oh, okay, done. That was easy. My goodness. And you're going to be like, wait, is a polar functions always circles? But try it. Type in this r equal to 5 over cosine theta plus sine theta. And look at y equal to negative x plus 5. So same equation, one is called the linear equation, one is called polar equation. The polar equation is always r equal to something. So if I convert everything in terms of x and y, and I can convert them. Is that okay? Okay. So I am gonna give you another equation. Can you tell me what kind of equations this? Nope, it's not a problem. It's a circle because it has an x squared and y squared. So can I do the same thing? Yeah. Just take that x and change it to r cosine theta, right? Is that okay? Change it to y equal to r sine theta, right? And square. Is that okay? Can I expand the r cosine theta minus 1 square? What is that? Can somebody help me? No. So imagine r cosine theta minus 1 times r cosine theta minus 1. If I multiply together, what am I going to get? R squared cosine squared theta, make sure you squared it, minus 2r cosine theta, thank you. And then plus 1 times plus r squared sine squared theta is equal to 1. Am I going too fast? Just convert everything, I expand it. This 1 cancel out, would you agree? Do you see brown bear? I see brown bear. Almost a brown bear, right? So can I factor out? Becomes a brown bear? Can I take that and factor out? Becomes cosine squared plus sine squared. This becomes r squared minus 2r cosine theta. So you factor out r, that's going to be r minus 2 cosine theta. So first it's going to be r equal to 0. Second is going to be r equal to 2 cosine theta. So this is the polar equation. If you look at it, r equal to 2 cosine theta. And that's a circle. Same thing is if you see that circle is moving right 1, and that's the exact same equation as the x minus 1, sorry, minus 1 square plus y square equal to 1. See, they're the same equation. If I graph this one, if I graph this one, they're the same. So this is the circle formula for polar equation. R equal to 2 cosine theta. Yes. That's equal to 1. Cosine squared plus sine squared equal to 1. I factor out r squared between those two purple boxes, and now left with the cosine squared plus sine squared minus 2r cosine theta. But cosine squared plus sine squared is equal to 1. So that becomes r squared minus 2r cosine theta. If I factor r is equal to 0. We know r equal to 0 is not the right equation, but we know r squared equal to 2 cosine theta is equal to correct equation. And this is how you convert. So convert rectangular to polar equation. Not the coordinate already, but same idea. It just makes sure all the x equal to r sine theta and all the y equal to r cosine theta, and you solve it isolated. Winston, that phone want to be out too? You can join Diego's phone. They can have friends. Next time I'm gonna tell Libya to throw it out. She'll love to. She got a muscle. She can throw it very far. How many push-up you can do, all of you? Have you counted? How many pull-up can you do? 30? 30? 30?
Yeah. 30,000.
That's good.
No, yeah.
That's crazy.
30 pull-up like this?
Yeah.
Can you hold your body with 2 fingers?
Hanging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a ninja, don't even play.
I know, right? I won't mess with her. I can't even outrun her.
Better not fail it too.
Huh?
You better not fail it.
I know, right? Okay. Are you going to 5? How do I convert this to rectangular? What do you think this equation look like? Are equal to 5? No, not a straight line. It's not x equal to 5. No, it's not a point. R equal to 5. What do you think this equation look like? It's a radius equal to 5, so it's a circle with a 5.
Oh,
So you can say, okay, well, I can square both sides. Would it be r squared equal to 25? And what is r squared equal to? And that's the rectangular format. Huh?
I said that.
Yeah, but it's a circle. It's not Pythagorean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, whatever you say. Okay, let me ask you, what does this look like? Yeah, you're right. It is like this. It's pi over 4. It's a line. It's line. So what we can do is we can use this formula here. What do? We have a data, so we can what? Tangent both sides, right? Does that make sense? What's tangent of pi over 4? 1. What is the y over x, right? Y equal to x, right? It's the rectangular format. You just convert from one thing to the other thing. You're using all the equations here. R equal to cosecant of theta. 3 cosecant theta. What do you think this one's involved with? What? It's not a triangle.
No, I don't appreciate that.
Remember, you gotta use those equations. But those equation doesn't have a cosecant, so that means cosecant must convert to what? Okay. What else can I do? Multiply by what? Sin theta. So what is r sin theta? What is this? Y. So it's a straight line. Last one here. R equal to -6 cosine theta. What? Convert what? It's a vertical line? No, it's not a vertical line. How do you hit 2 birds, 1 stone?
Like what? That's a 6.
What? That's 6, yes. This is -6 cosine theta. It's not r cosine theta, so it's not. So what can I do here to make completely rectangular. What do I need on the right side to convert to rectangular? I need what? Say it out loud. I need what? Somebody say it. I think Lyndon say it. What do we need on the right side? No? Huh? R. Who says R? Okay, good. Okay, so why do we need R? Because R cosine theta is what? X, right? So that means I need R here. But how do I make an R there? Can I multiply both sides by R? Can I hit 2 birds, 1 stone? This side with R squared, which is nice. And this one's negative 6 R cosine theta, which is also nice. Because R squared is equal to what? Yep, x squared plus y squared. This one's minus 6x. And you're like, oh, okay. And then go back to the equation before. This is plus 6x plus y squared equal to 0. What do I need? Complete the square. Do you remember that? 6 divided by 2 square. That's equal to 9. This is plus 9. So it's plus 9 on the other side. This one has nothing to complete the square. It's a plus 0. So that's going to be x plus 3 squared plus y squared is equal to 9.
Thanks for another great I don't even get it. I'll figure that out. 8 hour and a half. Very honestly.
2 o'clock till from 3 to 11 this year. Kind of like practice class for the pre-calc exam, and I won't be here for
You have to do it. You have to do it on Friday. Oh, you're gonna be in bed. You and Luke, right? No, we don't have practices, and we want to give it to you as, like, just a baseline, because you're gonna say like, oh, that's how much I really know. Because I didn't teach you how to take AP exam, so it is harder. Hi, Diego. You better do your homework. Otherwise, don't come in my room. Yeah. Then you probably have to take. You might have to take on Thursday then. No, next Thursday. No. What spring break? The 27th. 28 is Friday. 27th Thursday. So you're gonna take it along with Luke. Just take the 3-hour exam before you go to break. That one, you don't need to worry about if they're good or bad. You just have to worry about it's like, oh, okay, well, this is how much I really know. Because we give you a baseline, and then we're going to go through all the questions, and we're going to ask you to take it again. And then we're going to go through all the questions, we're going to ask you to take it again. Because to translate my test to AP exam, you still need some translation time. But the first time, I just want to see, okay, how much I really know. Without that translation, see how much you can figure out things. But normally people is not gonna do horrible, but it's not gonna do great the first time. But that's anticipated.
What value put for did you put 9?
What?
What value did you put? Like
I put 3 squares equal to 9. So 6 over 2 is 3. 3 squares is 9. So I plus 9 on both sides.
okay.